Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk to you about Spider-Man the Animated Series Season 1, Episode 11 and 12, The Hobgoblin. The Hobgoblin is one of my all-time favorite Spider-Man villains from the animated series. I've never read the comics and stuff, but he just has a very cool design. In fact, I like him a whole lot more better than the Green Goblin and everything. I like the sound of his voice because one, he's voiced by Mark Hamill of all things. I was just kind of like, hey, why is the Joker in this? And so, like, he just has an overall cool, sinister looking outfit. It's a little too colorful at times. It's multicolored. His mask is like a very light green. He wears like an outfit where it's like an orange kind of like tunic and blue legs and arms and orange boots, orange gloves, and an orange cape with a hood to it, so like a cloak and stuff. So he's very colorful, but he's very cool in a Halloween type sense. He has his gliders, his exploding pumpkin bombs, and stuff like that. Now, this show took the liberties with his character. They decided to introduce him before the Green Goblin shows up, and the Green Goblin was kind of inspired by him. It was a risky, bold move, but I think it paid off big time and stuff. Also, with this version of the Hobgoblin, they created their own character. And they made him an amalgamation of the three from the comic books, because there are multiple hobgoblins and stuff. But they took like the first three and they just smashed them all together and made this version. Once again, risky, but they did the same thing with Tim Drake and the New Adventures of Batman. And for the most part, amalgamation characters, I'm not really so much a fan of. I read for them just to bring in the person from the comics, but for whatever reason they couldn't. So hey, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Now the thing I like so much about the Hobgoblin is that he really pushed Spider-Man to his limit in this episode, both emotionally and physically and everything. And it really took a toll on like Spider-Man's psyche and everything, especially after what happened with the whole Venom saga, which I will be talking about. I know I skipped that episode, but I will be talking about it. In the first season, I've reviewed every episode except for two. The Chameleon episode, which is the finale, and the Mysterio one, only because they're not really my favorite villains and stuff, and their episodes were okay and they were cool and everything. Now the Chameleon episode was very cool, but I just didn't feel like really talking about it. And so I'm only doing like my favorite. Oh, and Craven, I didn't talk about that one only because I never really liked Craven as like a villain, and I'm really upset he's gonna get his own movie where he's an anti-hero. Look, man, Sony needs to stop this crap. If Spider-Man is not in the movie, stop making them. I don't want to see Morbius. I don't want to see none of the Venom spin-off movies. I don't want to see Madam Web and everything. I just want Spider-Man and Spider-Man as the main protagonist as he's fighting all these people. Stop turning supervillains into anti-villains. It just doesn't work. Venom had mild success. Morbius is a huge failure. And, I don't want this to happen with Craven and stuff. Even though Craven's not one of my favorites. Now, the whole Madam Web thing, they might be able to pull that off if they bring in female spider type women and spider girls into the mix, which some people think they are. They think that's going to be, some people speculate that the whole Madam Web thing and, all these characters showing up might be their version of No Way Home and stuff. So they could pull it off. However, do people really like those other versions of the Spider Women and Spider Girls? Now, I have a feeling Spider Gwen might just show up and everything, especially with the actress they cast. But hey, who knows, But they're going with the young version of Madam Web, and nobody wants that. We just want the older version that people know and love and stuff. But you know how Hollywood is. They don't like older people in movies and stuff. I mean, Justin Hammer is supposed to be an old man in Iron Man 2, but they made him young and stuff. So, and then let's not forget young, hot Aunt May, which I've never been a fan of and stuff. I swear. But anyway, the Hobgoblin, he really gets to like Peter slash Spider-Man in this. And that's what makes it so great. The Hobgoblin is a very greedy man. Now you can find this on Disney Plus. Sadly, none of the Hobgoblin episodes have ever made its way to DVD. They had a Green Goblin DVD, but they left out one really crucial episode which really pissed me off. I am still pissed to the day. This has never been put out on DVD properly. Why? Nobody knows. Like, nobody has no idea why. And it was one of the most popular shows on Fox Kids. And yet it's never truly made it to DVD. I don't understand the logic behind that. And it's considered one of the greatest Spider-Man adaptations of all time. And so, like, this Hobgoblin is very, 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 very greedy. He just wants money and he wants control and everything. And he will backstab anybody for money. But he's all about that money. And just like he says in the show, he doesn't do nothing for free. And so, like, when we first see him, we only see the back of him as he's suiting up. And he's a bald-headed man, which is later retconned in later seasons because he has a head full of hair. Unless it's a toupee. And so, like, he's tasked with killing Wilson Fisk. Now, at this point in time, Spider-Man still does not know he is the Kingpin. And as Spider-Man's trying to take his picture and stuff, here comes the Hobgoblin trying to kill him. Fisk, that is. Peter saves him. He's like pissed that Peter like stopped him from like getting paid. And then comes Spider-Man. And Spider-Man is kind of like, whoa, this is something new for him. Having to go as higher than the skyscraper buildings because, the Hobgoblin flies on a winged glider and everything. Now, I'm glad they took the idea of not making it that hokey looking glider from the comics where he kind of like sits on it, I've always hated that thing. So they made this kind of like has like a bat shaped head and everything and a purple wing glider, and he's just like flying around and he's really getting into Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man is like, oh man, nosebleed territory and stuff. But anyway, as Hobgoblin makes his escape, Spider-Man thinks, okay, I can just swing my way out of this and be safe. But he's out of web fluid. That's what I love, man. They still have yet done that in the live action movies. We know he has web shooters now, but he's never ran out of web fluid with his mechanical web shooters. Now, Tobey Maguire character, he ran out of web fluid when he was going through his emotional woe is me type thing. So that's like the closest we've ever seen to that. And so, like, he saves himself within inches of his life because he was literally about to get hit by some spikes and stuff. And so we find out who hired the Hobgoblin to kill Fisk. It was Norman Osborn. And at this point in time, like I said, he hasn't became the Green Goblin yet. And he wants Fisk dead because Fisk pretty much just wants what he always wants: people's companies and their inventions and stuff. And so he's pissed that the Hobgoblin didn't kill what's the name. The Hobgoblin's all like, look man, give me more money and I'll take him out and Spider-Man out, stuff like that. Well, Norman's done with him and will not pay him, which pisses the Hobgoblin off. So what does he do? With the information he has, he goes to Fisk. Fisk is kind of pissed and wants to kill him, but he's kind of like, look man, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So he then hires the Hobgoblin to take out Norman Osborn. And so he enhances his glider and stuff. We don't really know what kind of modifications he made to it because it seems pretty much the same. So what does the Hobgoblin does? Well, at this point in time, Peter is like hanging out with Harry, and Harry wants him to be his new roommate. And so this Peter's shocked because they're in college and he's all like, we're not really that great of friends and everything, but it's all because of his dad. His dad wants Harry to kind of like grow up and take things more seriously. And Peter's a very serious person into science and stuff, and so like that's why he wants him over Flash. So he moves out of his Aunt May's apartment. She's of course house, and she's sad, but he has his own place. It's like a party. He's happy. He's excited. He's finally moving out. He's a college student and everything. And then, like, the next morning, Aunt May shows up, and the place is trashed because they partied too hard. He's embarrassed, but then as soon as he's finna open the door, his spider sense goes off. So next thing you know, the hobgoblin comes in throwing pumpkin bombs, and Aunt May is incapacitated, and she slips into like a coma. But Harry gets kidnapped. That what the Kingpin wanted. See, it's simple. The Kingpin's gonna get what he wants from Osborn by taking his son prisoner and everything. So when Osborn finds this out, what does Kingpin want? Of course, his inventions, his company, everything. That will literally make, like, it would end Osborn and everything. And so, like, during this time, Peter is in the hospital with his Aunt May, and he's just sad. He's heartbroken and everything. Like, he's really upset. And Mary Jane Watson is there to console him and everything. And he doesn't understand why the people he loves gets hurt by him being Spider-Man. But then he realizes something. The Hobgoblin wasn't there for him. See, he thought he wanted revenge on Peter for pissing off Fisk and for not killing Fisk and everything. But he realizes that Harry got kidnapped. Like, he just stopped and thought about it. He wasn't even thinking about Harry until just now. So he heads out to Oscorp and everything. But they won't allow him in because, they say Osborn is busy. Well, he goes in as like Spider-Man. So at this point in time, Kingpin still has not paid Hobgoblin, which pisses him off. And Smythe does not trust him. And so the Hobgoblin decides, you know what? This is a great opportunity to like play both sides. So he goes to Osborn. Excuse me. And he tells Osborn, look, man, and everything, give me more stuff and we can take the Kingpin out and everything, and I'll give you back your son. And so Osborn doesn't want to trust him, but then he decides, you know what? If he has any hope of like getting his son back and keeping his company, then he has to do it. So he builds him a new glider, which is like 20 times the size of the old one. And it has smart bombs and everything else. Well, at some point in time, Spider-Man shows up when he hears the Hobgoblin laughing. And then so Hobgoblin like hightails it on out of there. But he's gonna test out his new wing. And Spider-Man is no match for this thing whatsoever. And so the smart bombs are coming in handy because they're literally tracking his every movements and everything, to where Spider-Man literally has to like duck into a building and it explodes. So then in the next episode, we see how Spider-Man got out of that. He swung himself to safety, but then the explosion knocked him to the ground and he fell down in the sewer. So he's battered, he's bruised, and he's feeling defeated as the water is coming down on him in the sewer and everything. But you know what? He ain't going down like this because he wants revenge for his Aunt May. So at some point, he goes back to Osborn and talking about how can you make a deal with the devil and everything. And so he pretty much tells him that, he had to. And he's all like, well, what about your son? He's all like, I'm doing this for my son. Like, I love my son. But, his company, that always came first. And maybe he shouldn't do that. Maybe he should think about his son, which is one of the biggest things about Harry and like Norman is that, Harry does not feel appreciated by his father because he feels his father's company always comes first and stuff. So when the Hobgoblin goes back to Kingpin and everything, he's making himself cozy, sitting in his chair and everything like that. He doesn't know that Smythe was recording and spying on him the whole time. So they saw the deal he made with Norman. This infuriates Fisk and he wants him killed now. So the Hobgoblin's all like, man, like I ain't no gutter trash and everything. I work my way up to the top and I'm gonna take what you have. And he just starts dropping bombs left and right. And so he takes over the Kingpin's like fortress and everything. And the Hobgoblin's thrilled and happy, man. He finally has what he's always wanted: power. And with power comes money. And so, next thing you know, Spider-Man has now made a deal with Norman and everything. So Norman told him where, the Hobgoblin's gonna be and how to get in there and stuff. So he heads to the Kingpin's place. And so of course, he's like duking it out with like the Hobgoblin, this and that and stuff. But what he doesn't know is that Fisk and Norman had made a deal and everything. There's so many twists and turns and backstabbing, man. So that's how Spider-Man was able to get into Fisk's place, because because Fisk and Norman made a deal and everything. And so like Fisk decided, you know what? We're gonna let those two kill each other, and then me and you are gonna like, dish this thing out eventually when I get my place back and stuff like that, and you get your son back and stuff. So Spider-Man and Hobgoblin, they're constantly fighting at each other and everything, swinging through like the city and everything like that. And then next thing you know, so of course after he gets defeated, what is it? Fisk takes back over his place. Now his place is pretty much in rubble for the most part, but he said he's gonna rebuild and everything. So then Spider-Man, he saves like Harry and gets him to like safety. Now there's a scene in this that's always bugged me. It's the scene where Harry's in like a tube and Spider-Man hands are on the tube, but Harry looks really small and Spider-Man looks really huge and everything. That's always bugged me. But anyway, he takes like Harry back to like Norman and stuff, and Norman and Harry have a heart to heart and everything. And he said he's gonna do better by turning his life around, and he's gonna be there for his son and everything. Cause he realizing that his wife is dead and his son is the only person he has left. And is his company really that important? But the Hobgoblin shows up and he wants revenge. He's either gonna get money or he's gonna start killing people left and right inside Oscorp. So him and Spider-Man duking it out again. And these two are really just having it out because of course Spider-Man still wants revenge and stuff. Well, one of the bombs, I think, hits his glider, and then the Hobgoblin goes down into the pier off screen and blows up. So we don't know if he lives or dies. And so Peter goes back to the hospital, and the doctor's all pissed. Cause he's all like, you young people, like, your Aunt May's in the hospital and you're too busy running off doing who knows what. So he's feeling even more worse about himself, because his life as Spider-Man is taking over too much. But Aunt May wakes up and she tells him that she doesn't even remember a Hobgoblin. She passed out from the mess in his room. But of course, added with the smoke bomb and everything, it made her go into a coma. But then she talks about how like wonderful it was that he saved that Mr. Wilson Fisk guy. Now Spider-Man Peter still did not know who the Kingpin really is. And then we see who survived. Flying into the moonlight. It's the Hobgoblin talking about how he will return one day and stuff. So yeah, this was an extremely good episode. It really pushed Spider-Man to his breaking limit and everything. Similar to how like Venom pushed him, but Venom pushed him on a completely different level and stuff. So this was a really good episode. You can find it on Disney Plus. It might be on YouTube, who knows, and stuff. But yeah, it's really good. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.